Mike Patton sings some unusual melodies, but why do they sound so unusual? Well, let's find out. We're going to look at 5 examples in this week's Analytical Music Theory Analysis of the Week. By the way, this is a segment from the Carl King podcast. If you enjoy this video, remember to like and subscribe and send us burritos. Mike Patton gets a lot of attention for his vocal range, sound effects, eccentric personality, and showmanship. And of course, his very professional hairstyles. But what gets overlooked the most are his unusual vocal melodies. And one reason his melodies sound unusual is because he emphasizes non-chord tones. So let me show you what I mean by that. Here's a chord. Try humming or singing a note over that chord. Any note that comes to mind, just try it. What note did you sing? Well, it was most likely this one. Or this one. Or possibly this one. And if you sang a different note, don't worry, you might just be a bad singer like me. Those 3 notes are the root, 5th, and 3rd. And they are called the chord tones because those 3 notes make up the chord. In most Western music, including country music, melodies tend to emphasize those 3 notes. They're the easiest notes to sing over a chord because they're part of the chord. Now, here's what makes Mike Patton's melodies a little different. Instead, over any given chord, Patton likes to sing and emphasize notes that are not the 1, 3, and 5. Those notes he emphasizes are called non-chord tones. And he commits to those odd choices, which can either sound tense or magical. But one thing is for sure, emphasizing non-chord tones is very unusual in rock and metal music. So let's look at some examples. The first is the intro to the song The Real Thing from the album of the same name. And over that first big, heavy E minor chord, he sustains an F sharp note, which is a 9th interval, and then he drops down to a flat 7. So he skips the root and leaps right past it down to the note D. And that's with the words, the essence of the truth. Or is it the essence of the soul? It sure sounds like he says soul, but the physical CD liner notes say truth. So which one do you think it is? I've been listening to that song every morning for over 40 years now, and I have none idea. Is it truth or soul? We don't know yet. Our second example is the song Last to Know from the album King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime. And right out of the gate, over that E chord, he sings an F sharp on the downbeat. And that is another 9th interval on the lyrics where it grows. Now, if it were written by someone else, it might have normally sounded like this: G sharp, B, and E. But no, he sings this: G sharp, B, F sharp. It's an unexpected choice, isn't it? And honestly, very Celine Dion. You can check out My Heart Will Go On if you don't believe me. By the way, these are also the same first 3 notes from the melody from that Willy Wonka movie called Pure Imagination, but in a different key with the words, "Come with me." Example 3 is the chorus of Epic. And in that chorus, the first 2 chords are E and B. And over that E chord, Patton sings a melody using the chord tones E, G sharp, and B, which are the 1, 3, and 5. But when the chord changes to B, he sings a C sharp. So on the strong beat, he's emphasizing that C sharp note over a B chord, which is again a 9th interval. You might be detecting a pattern here. A more normal version of this melody, written by someone else, would have been this: E, G sharp, A, and B. But instead, he sings this: E, G sharp, B, and C sharp. Now, I would love to ask him why he thought to sing this note instead of this note, but I doubt even he would have a good answer other than, "I wanted to, who cares, and please get out of my backyard." Example 4 is "Everything's Ruined" from Angel Dust. In the verse, which is an F sharp minor tonality, instead of singing an F sharp, A, or C sharp, he starts on a G sharp, which is a ninth interval again. He sings the notes G sharp, A, and C sharp. So instead of 1, 3, 5, it's 2, 3, 5. And then with the lyrics "We had planned," he sings G sharp, A, and then G natural, which is a flat 9, and it really twists your ear. Not only is this a non-chord tone, it's not even in the key, but as always, he sings that wrong note with commitment, and it works. Our 5th example is the chorus of the song "Helpless" from Album of the Year. With the words "don't want" over an E chord, he sings an F sharp, the 9th, and then over the F, sort of Phrygian open string chord, he sings the note A, and then resolves to G. And that G is another 9th interval. What are the odds of that? Now, if he were emphasizing chord tones, it would have been something more like this: G sharp, E, F, and C. But instead, he sings this more tense melody: F sharp, E, A, and G. It's like if you were to tell a kid to walk on only the black squares on a checkerboard, he would be walking on only the white squares. Now, these are just a few examples, and only from the Faith No More records. My guess is maybe Mike Patton was hit on the head with a 9th chord as a small child. And 9ths are, of course, not the most unusual intervals that he sings. If you listen through his catalog with Mr. Bungle and Fantomas and the 3,000 other albums he's made, there's plenty more to find. What most impresses me is the guy has an incredible ear, so he can easily break free of expected tonality and accurately sing any note over any chord. And that's a rare ability for someone with no formal music training. According to Decibel magazine, Trevor Dunn said, "Mike Patton actually does have what's called perfect pitch," which would explain a lot. Either way, in the future, maybe we'll examine some more of Mike Patton's creative melodic choices. Okay, that's it for this week's Analytical Music Theory Analysis of the Week. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like, subscribe, and send us burritos. And support the creation of more by joining my Patreon for $1 or $5 a month. That's patreon.com/Carl King.